And the next item on our agenda is Superintendent's Communications. Mr. Witt.
So I wanted to talk to you about an item that is on a recommended item, action item later on the agenda, and that's for a barrier-free playground, similar to the barrier-free playground that is at Hilbert Elementary, that was put in as part of the bond project. Because of the fact that we house center-based elementary programs at Beach Elementary, and because, quite honestly, Wayne Risa provides those districts that operate those center-based programs some financial incentives for operating those programs, we have been given an allotment of money that needs to be reinvested in the facilities that house those Act 18 programs. And that combination of factors has put us in a position to look at some projects to improve those facilities, which would include like Beach Elementary. We could do projects there. We could do projects at Keeler School with these funds as well. And some of those projects are also being contemplated now. But the one project we're ready to move forward right now, as far as a recommendation to the board, is putting a barrier-free playground similar to what was built through the bond project at Hilbert Elementary. This would be a barrier-free playground at Beach Elementary. The drawings are right there. We worked through a consortium process through the state to get consortium pricing for that playground equipment, and the recommendation is to put this in place at Beach. We have been given some preliminary timeline, and depending on when the board acts upon this, like for example, if that's later this evening per the recommendation, we've been given, Mr. Thomasitis has been in contact with the company that would do the work, and they're giving us a 6 to 8 week time period within which they could then start the work. Within 6 to 8 weeks from whenever the board would approve this project, which would still put us in a position, if it were approved tonight, to have this in during the fall for students to then use the rest of the school year. So wanted to bring that forward, and I don't know if anybody has any questions now, or of course this is an action item recommended later on the agenda. The approximate cost for the playground itself is $209,000. We roughly have been given $300,000 over the course of 2 years, so $600,000 roughly total from the county to do infrastructure projects related to Act 18 programming and facilities that house Act 18 programs. So we have some other potential projects on the list for that, but we know that we wanted to try to provide a new playground space at Beach like we've been able to do through the bond at Hilbert, and that's why we're bringing this forward at this time.
Mr. Bailey?
Where is this supposed to be located?
This would be located on the northern end of the property, and it would be enclosed by a fence.
Is this by the
It would be on the north,
bus loop?
it would be on the northwest corner of the building, near the bus loop, but away from the bus loop.
So towards Beach? Northwest? Northeast?
Oh, sorry,
Miles
northeast,
says
sorry.
northeast.
Northeast.
So where there's
There's a playground space right now. It would actually be situated closer to the building than the existing play structure actually is. But in that same area on the northeast, corner of the building.
So this project, why is it costing
What was that?
What's the reason for the cost being so much? What's driving up the cost?
That's actually, there's a rubberized surface that goes in. Just, if you go to Hilbert Elementary right now, it has the same type of rubberized surface. And that is the type of play surface that's needed to make it barrier-free, so that it's fully accessible to all students. And then certain pieces of of the equipment on the playground also allow all students to be able to use the playground as well.
Okay.
If, our traditional playgrounds have
Yep.
wood chips and things like that don't lend themselves to all students being able to have access to those playgrounds.
Right, right.
It's
Alright.
similar to the space actually that is going to be on the field of WOW at Hilbert as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Witt. Moving on, communications received by the board secretary. Mrs. Dean is not here, and so I'm going to assume there are none. Chief Financial Officer, gentlemen. Chief Financial Officer's Communications, Mr. Belting.
Thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about something that's coming up. We were awarded roughly $47,000 by the state for an educational assistance program. The grant is $27K grant. The state designation from the state of Michigan. Yes, so the state has given us money to repay teachers that qualify for their educational expenses, their student loans.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
In order for us, we've agreed to reimburse this back to them tax-free as well, which is part of the program. In order to do that, we have to establish a 127 program, which is an educational assistance program. And that would allow us to exempt the first $5,250 of educational assistance to each employee. Otherwise, if we don't, if we don't have a 127 plan, it is taxable to the employee, and we would have to, if we want to do it tax-free, we would have to gross it up, which would be at the expense of the district. So, for the next board meeting, I'll be distributing verbiage that we can add to get that program set up. But I want to give you a little bit of background on that. It's a great benefit to the teachers. It will not obligate us to give them, to reimburse them in the future. Actually, if you look at this, the district funded portion of it is not applicable, and then it talks about grant funded and the ability to, the district's ability to terminate the plan at their discretion. So we are planning on the initial reimbursement to the employees at the end of September, so we do have some time, but I would like to get that out in front of you guys as soon as possible to vote on. We continue to work towards the audit that will be coming up in September.
Man,
For the auditors,
September
Raymond,
already?
this summer's going fast. We're in good shape. I believe we're in good shape, much better shape than the last 2 years. As far as moving forward there, thanks to Kim, I think the grants are in much better shape. Big kudos to her for that. And that's all I got.
Thank you. That does as the mother of a young broke teacher with a lot of student debt, I'm sure that what a wonderful opportunity to even just to help them a little bit, because.
What was the number?
47,000?
It's a program that the state of Michigan put in, so I forget how much money the state of Michigan actually has, but all districts were invited to apply, and it was to any teacher who met certain criteria. And so we had 24 teachers asked to participate.
Nice.
So they'll be reimbursed for their student loan payments, any that were made from October 1st of 2023 through October
Nice.
1st of 2024. They'll receive a payment for that in September, and then there is enough funding to pay for at least an additional year. So the state's predicting it to go through 2026. We'll see. Sometimes the state says
They say
they
a lot of
are
things.
going to do this, and then it doesn't happen. But at least 2 years of student loan debt paid is better than no years. So,
Once the funding runs out, we're not obligated to continue that through the district
Right.
general fund, so.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you. All right, moving on. Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations Communications, Mrs. Nachman.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology Communications, Mrs. Crenshaw.
I have nothing tonight.
I like it when they're quiet. All right, we're moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion, let me back up. Are there any items that we would like removed from the consent agenda? All right, hearing none. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items as presented?
Second.
Was that Mr. McAfee?
Jeff.
Oh, it was Mr. Osowski and Mrs.
Second.
Martin. Is there any discussion? Mr. Osowski? E? Who's an RU alumni? Brooke Timlin, school social worker, Hilbert Elementary.
As an alumni, we just hired
Love
another
it.
alumnus this afternoon.
Love it, love it, love it. I
Who's
love it
leaving
when,
Livonia to come back to us.
we love it. I have a couple of questions/comments. So I love it when we see this many new hires. That's, it just shows that we are developing a district that people want to come and work for, and it shows that we're moving in the right direction. My question's, given the fact that our wonderful state legislator reduced drastically the amount of money we are given around mental health spending, I see, I firmly believe that we need mental health clinicians, but, I mean, how are we paying for that?
That was money that was already granted. I believe it was $600,000.
Okay.
Or something along those lines that they gave us so those are paid for at least through.
Yeah.
There's a matching portion to it, but they are picking up a significant portion.
Yeah, I just don't want us to get in the position that other districts who, kind of got them, they used all this ESSER money and stuff to do pay all these salaries, and then ESSER money is gone, and now those people not only don't have jobs, but the students don't have the resources that they need because the district can't afford. So I just wanted to make,
I can assure you, Mr. Witt is very careful when we these positions.
I have PTSD, with regard to the budget, I've been here a while. All right. Is there any further question, any further discussion regarding the agenda? Consent? All right. Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right, action items, special consideration, non-consent agenda action item number 1, Beach Elementary barrier-free playground proposal. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Jason Witt, Superintendent, and Mike Belting, Chief Financial Officer, approve the Beach Elementary barrier-free playground proposal? That's a lot of Ps. Total cost not to exceed $225,000. The complete expense will be covered by Act 18 funding, specifically provided for building infrastructure facility improvements.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Osowski. Is there support?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McAfee. Is there any discussion, any questions that we came up
Yes.
with over the last couple minutes? Mrs. Martin?
So how much money did you say that's going to be for this year that we're going to be allowed it?
So the Wayne Risa earmarked these funds for at least 2 school years, but then they allowed us to carry over because they didn't make this decision to give us these funds until very late in the 22-23 school year, actually. And so they allowed us to carry over those funds. And then they did another allotment of approximately $300,000 for the 23-24 school year. And so through that combination of funds, we have $600,000, approximately $600,000. I think it actually might be a little more to fund projects. And we've looked at, like, another project we were contemplating is a dimmer light project for Keeler. And even some of the ASD classrooms doing a similar project with LED lighting and dimmers that would allow the teachers to very easily transform those rooms. The lighting does impact the students
Yeah.
differently based on their mood, sometimes one day to the next. And so we have set up a sample of that over at Keeler in one of the rooms that allows the light to go from very yellow to almost a blue hue and dim at different allotments as well. So that's another project that we're contemplating, but we're still trying to get the exact numbers on what that modification might take on a dollar-wise on a per classroom basis. But those are the type of projects that we're contemplating, are those projects.
And which buildings do you know the buildings, the rest of the Act 18 buildings, or is just those?
The buildings would primarily be Keeler School. We could do almost anything because it houses the entire center-based program. And then specific classrooms or other facility improvements at Beach because of the programs that they house. And then there are classrooms here at the secondary campus that we could also use funds to help approve. And in fact, we've used a small portion of those funds to upgrade some of the classrooms with swings and different things in the ASD classrooms right across the street. And we're dipping into these same funds for a portion of that, but those projects were so small that they didn't require going to the board.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Any further, Mr. Bailey?
So, when did this idea come about?
What idea? To put this playground in?
Yeah.
It's been something that we've been considering for a while, but because of all the construction going on, we weren't able to pull together the numbers until very recently.
So I'm seeing this the same way as the same problem with security at Beach, where we did the renovation, then we contracted somebody to go through and find out where our flaws were in security.
I don't recall that taking place.
Oh, I'll get it for you.
That study on security at each building was something that was mandated by the state after the Oxford shooting. It wasn't known at the time of the bomb project.
Well,
So to put those two and two together is illogical, Mr. Bailey.
well, actually it's logical, because you want to plan stuff out in advance.
We've done a tremendous amount of planning on everything we've done to our building improvements.
So to continue is, can we have strategic planning? Like, we're out of the 5-year cycle for strategic planning that was done whenever. Can we, two things. One is, when you talk about projects, can we see that higher level view also of the projects that are possible as opposed to when we have to pay for them?
Absolutely.
And also, can we have strategic planning being done where we're thinking this stuff?
Absolutely. Before we can really strategic plan effectively, though, we have a lot of work to do to improve relationships on how we function as a unit.
Right.
And you're a big part of that component.
That's right. And that's
Okay.
one of the problems, no strategic planning.
No, again, the strategic planning will follow some other steps that, yes, will be on the agenda throughout the fall to try to work on how we can improve some of the way we do business as a district and operate, quite honestly, as a group.
Very good, thank you, Derek.
All right. All right, this requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McAfee?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? The playground equipment? You're okay. Mr. Osowski?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right. Moving on, 2024 MASB call for delegates and alternates. Before I read this motion, I'm going to provide some information that I probably should have done in president's remarks, but I was trying to be considerate to our community members. So I will just state that I will already be at the delegate assembly in Lansing for this event. As a matter of fact, my hotel is already booked because at the end of July, I was appointed to the MASB committee that will set legislative priorities. No, I'm sorry. Legislative priorities is Wayne County. Anyway, I was appointed to a committee for MASB, and I will be there doing some committee work already. So if that helps make the decision as to who the delegate should be, then that would, just know that I'm already going to be there. I'm actually excited to do this work with MASB, to have a hand in bylaws. That's the one I'm going to be doing with them. I would like to be the delegate just because I'm going to be there already. So that's just my little plug. And so I will now ask for a motion that the Board of Education nominate somebody.
I nominate you.
You gotta speak. So Ms. Miller,
Right, that's
We
what
need-
she couldn't hear.
okay, Ms. Miller has made a nomination of me as the delegate, and we need an alternate. So is there somebody who really wants to be an alternate? Mrs. Martin? Do we, who wants to be the
You
alternate?
want to be the alternate.
Let's be the alternate. Okay, Mrs. Martin. Okay, so we have a motion that I be the delegate and that Mrs. Martin be the alternate to represent Redford Union Schools, Board of Education, MASB 2024 Delegate Assembly that will begin Thursday, October 24th, 2024 at 7 p.m. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by, which gentleman? Osowski, okay, thank you. Is there any discussion?
The chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So again, we're back at the same situation of, instead of spreading out experience, opportunity, things of that nature, we're keeping it within the selected few. So-
Respectfully, Mr. Bailey, every board member is encouraged to attend this conference.
Yeah, I
So-
got that in my minutes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes,
or
sir.
Ms. Miller, would you be interested in being considered as the delegate as opposed to alternative? Would it be a hardship for you to go there instead?
I mean, for me, Evelyn, she's gonna already be doing work with them, so,
That's not the point of convenience. The point is you have an opportunity to pick up the experience and the opportunity to see how things are working. We've already got this, certain people are doing the certain things.
Weren't
Concept,
you the
we have
delegate
multiple
last year,
discussions.
Mr. Bailey? Weren't you the delegate last year?
Yes, and that's why I'm asking somebody
So do
else.
you wanna
do it.
go
That's
this
right,
year?
I
So,
was.
so in my 13 years on the board, I've never been the delegate, so it's not like I hogged the spotlight. It's-
I mean, I'm just asking, can the delegate attend the meeting with you, or are you the only one?
No, absolutely, it's an open meeting. It's part of the fall
But
conference.
do Mr. Bailey want to go? That's what he's saying.
I think he just doesn't want me to go.
Mr. Bailey, did you want to go?
No, I'm trying to get other people to have the experience and also the opportunity. Again, we've got a track record of keeping this confined. I'm trying to expand it.
I will be there, Mr. Bailey. So, yeah.
That's a new delegate.
But as an alternative, would you be interested in being a delegate?
No,
So-
not at this time.
If for some reason she would be the delegate, if I can't go, it is the point. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm
To
not
the chair.
trying to keep anybody
To
who
the chair.
really wants to. Mr. Osowski?
There's a motion on the floor.
There is a motion on the table, and currently the motion is for myself to serve as the delegate and Mrs. Martin to serve as the alternate. This requires a roll call vote. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McAfee?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? Yes. The chair votes yes. Motion carries. Okay, there were no items removed from the consent agenda. Call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. We only have one audience member left. Thank you for staying with us. Jackie's just gonna check.
I just wanted to, I don't know, is there a point where I get to say something?
Yeah, right now.
Right now, you could fill out another
I don't
form.
know all the genders.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to bring on the motion, the consideration for the roads for the
Bus loop.
bill. I think that should be addressed. And there should get a definite answer and a commitment from the city, the Wayne County or somebody, that that's going to be taken.
So you would like us for us to reach out to the county regarding the salting of the road?
Whatever needs to be done. If
To-
this is gonna be, if that's gonna be the loop, then they should, if that's the way it goes, I still don't agree that that should be the loop.
Right.
I think that my personal opinion is Alice and the school should figure out a process and be member. It's less, there's not as many people that you're affecting that are in the, that are residents, and that's, it's just wrong to put it into
Okay.
residents.
And you're on record stating that. We can certainly reach out to the county about road safety regarding salting in the winter.
We'll take care of that.
Absolutely.
No matter what road it is, it needs to be taken care of.
I agree, but we, like I said, and I'll state on the record, we do not control when the county salts and what roads they salt. Nobody controls that but the county. If you have a problem with the county taking care of the roads, you need to take that to the county. That is not a school board or school district issue.
I understand it, but
We can
you've got all these
advocate.
monies that are going out
We
to-
can advocate that the streets and the roads around our buildings be salted first. That's all we can do. But we don't control what Wayne County
But
does.
we have a commitment to do the playgrounds. We have a commitment to all do all.
Because
these
that is
things.
our property.
Yeah,
Olympia
but it's
is
coming
not
from
our
Wayne.
property.
It's coming from
Okay.
the county of Wayne, right? So let's give the county of Wayne to do.
No, it is coming from Wayne Risa.
I will be reaching out to Miss Baker McCormick regarding that.
That's
Thank
all
you
we
for
can
that
do.
suggestion.
All right, moving on. Superintendent's remarks. Mr. Witt.
Just real briefly, we did, in front of you, you do have a draft of some public communication guidelines that I will make sure is included on the workshop agenda as a discussion point. I don't know that that will be a lengthy discussion, but it possibly could. But these guidelines follow the things that Mrs. Pridemore covered at the beginning of this meeting, and quite honestly, they also are consistent with the same guidelines that she's emphasized regularly before any public comment periods. But the goal is, if we can get agreement on what those guidelines should be, and you have a draft of what's recommended in front of you now, we'll have a discussion at the board workshop, hopefully with the goal of being able to eventually have these guidelines that are agreed upon enlarged and posted in the meeting rooms, just as a reminder for anyone that might attend any of the meetings. It will give them an idea of what those guidelines are, as well as it might lend themselves the ability, if they're sitting here waiting to discuss a non-agenda item, it might put them on notice up front about that they're not being asked to do that because we're trying to make it uncomfortable for them or trying to wait them out, but rather that as a course of business, that's the way our agenda is set up. So you have those guidelines now, and it was with the intention of us having at least a brief discussion of those guidelines at the board workshop, which is covered here at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Witt. Board of Education communication and discussion. I'll give a couple of quick updates. I already told you about MASB and the committee that I will thankfully get to serve on. As you know from last month, I am also currently serving on the Wayne County Association of School Boards Executive Board. Having said that, there's some things coming from Wayne County Association of School Boards. There's some training in September. I will bring those dates to you at our board workshop, some CBA training. That's a wonderful opportunity to go, locally to get that training and not have to do it online or not have to travel, to Lansing. Also, sometime in late September, early October, there will be a very important Wayne County meeting around what MASB's legislative priorities are going to be for the next 2 years. MASB will be coming after the executive board sets a date for that and actually will make a presentation to Wayne County school board members. So that once I have that date, I will share that. I think it's important that we understand what their legislative priorities are. Like currently, one of their legislative priorities is capping MIPSers at a percentage because we know that that's a major expense to school districts. Having said that, is there any further board communication?
Yes.
Mrs. Martin?
I got a question. Was there a part on the old previous agendas where the secretary had a comment section? Okay, because I didn't.
Because if she gets something mailed to her,
Okay.
she has to open that and read it. So like if a citizen sent a letter to the board secretary, that would have to be opened and read in board, at the board table.
Okay.
That's why that's there.
And then also, so as the board secretary, I just wanted to highlight the Michigan Association of School Boards Annual Leadership Conference, which is open up to everybody. Mm-hmm. Everybody can come. It's from Thursday, October the 24th through Sunday, October 27th at the Lansing Center. And the early bird special ends August the 30th. So if you're thinking about going, please see Jackie. And then also, I wanted to just let parents know, school starts September the 3rd, first day. So those parents that may have students with IEPs, please look over your IEPs, know what's in there to just prepare for the school year. And also for students that may be interested in career technology classes, look over, find information about that so you can be aware of the programs that's being offered. And I think that's it. Oh, I wanted to make a comment about possible things that for discussion for our study session that's coming up. Possibly look over the student code of conduct, if we can possibly have that available, and maybe even have a presentation or update about the meeting that was held about the student code of conduct.
That will be included on a future workshop agenda.
All right. Any further communication?
To the chair.
Mr. McAfee?
Did I see a post possibly on Facebook about the dedication of the field? September 6th?
September
Is that-
6th? When is, I think the first home game?
Our home opener is September 6th, and there is going to be a pregame event to not only dedicate the field kind of formally, but there'll be some informal events that start before the game. I don't know if it was 5 or 5:30 that we were targeting, starting with some of the events that night, and I believe kickoff, we've talked about moving back to 7:30, so there's a better chance that we can test out these new LED lights that are out there and let our students have that experience. Currently, they only have, I believe, 4 home games on this year's schedule. So we wanted them to have that experience, and that's before, of course, they make their playoff run. So we look forward to that. But that first home game will be September 6th, and more information will follow. I'll make sure the board is aware, in addition to what's posted generally about opportunities that are out there. We have some things that I'm still contemplating and working on right now to try to make that evening a memorial one, a memorable one, sorry. As well as a memorial one as we dedicate the field to Mr. Atkins. And I know his family will be on hand, and they're looking forward to that.
I had one more question. Do we have any open houses, like for parents and students?
Yes and yes.
So I didn't see it on the calendar, so when I was looking, I didn't see nothing.
The buildings are still working on finalizing those details, but I know August 20, don't hold me to these dates, but I think August 26th, the secondary campus, so both the junior high and high school are actually planning to do something here at this building. With the ongoing construction, as much as we wanted to do something right inside the building, right across the street, not knowing exactly where they're going to be with some of the components of last-minute construction, because just like in the previous summers, they're going to go up to the very last minute, but they will have things ready on September 3rd, ready to go. And so this building on August 26th is holding something. It will have both windows of time, as I understand it, during the day, and a window of time in the evening. And then I know Beach's plans are for August 28th, I want to say? 27th?
From 4 to 6.
And so they're working on those details, and all these details will be communicated out and posted and everything else. But yes, and yes. And I know I don't have all the details. Hilbert will be just doing something as well.
Cool, thank you.
All right. All right, moving on. Future meeting dates. Tuesday, August 20th, board workshop, 5:30 p.m. right here in the district meeting room. Monday, September 9th, regular meeting, 5:30 p.m. again here in the district meeting room. And Tuesday, September 24th, board workshop, 5:30 p.m. That will be training on the new reliability rating superintendent evaluation process. Again, right here in the district meeting room. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. McAfee. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm like, no, it wasn't Mr. Osowski. Oh, it was one of those guys down there. Okay. Seconded by Mrs. Martin. I was about to say, come on, give me a second. Don't y'all want to go home? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Opposed? Motion carries. The time is 7:14.